This is not Bob Staunton, genius broadcaster and throat-clearing phlegm spitter. Are you intelligent? If not, then subscribe and like the Tommy Boyds Shrine YouTube channel. This show talks about women's periods. Had to add the women's in there just in case J.K. Rowling was listening. I never knew when my wife had hers. She was always very, very angry with me.
Ground control's a Major Tom.
We've been expecting you, Mr. Boyd.
His is the worst voice you will ever hear.
Will he offer me his teeth?
The Tommy Boyd Show will teach you nothing.
Nothing.
Always read the label.
Nothing.
It's 2 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon. The audience of this show are grown up and adult, and we should have a sensible grown up and adult conversation about something which affects everybody's life. If you do have children at home, though, and perhaps they're under the age of, shall we say, arbitrarily 12, then you may care to put them in front of the television and listen in the kitchen. Odd, though, that something as normal as this, odd that a subject as normal as this is one that causes so much controversy that, generally speaking, is never discussed at all. And if it is discussed, it's discussed in dispassionate third person and therefore utterly irrelevant terms. I have a simple question for you. It's the question that I wrote on paper and asked Lorraine, and Lorraine gave, I think, as you would expect, a 100% answer. If it was appropriate, she would answer the question, but, she would wonder why the question was being asked. But this is 1998, and this is why the question can be asked, should be asked, and we should also be arguing about whether or not the question should be asked and can be asked, and who can ask it and what the circumstances are. But let's move forward this February 1998. Let's now make this a question that, under the right circumstances, can be asked. Here it comes, okay? The number is free call 0500 10 53 89. Now, with a build-up like this, you're going to say this is not much of a question, but believe me, it never gets asked. And I think it should, under the right circumstances. Hang on a sec. Here goes nothing. When's your next period due? Free call 0500 10 53 89. When's your next period due? Give me a call right now. If it's a question you don't mind me asking you under these circumstances, because we need to talk about, actually, when your next period is due, as well as all the other crucial issues, the issues that don't very often get an airing, even amongst friends in the pub. Never mind about in the supposedly influential world of broadcasting. We need to talk, obviously, about the fact that there's VAT on some of the products that you might need if your period is due fairly shortly, which is crazy. But, you see that mentioned elsewhere. We need to talk about, for example, and the reason this came into the conversation earlier this morning, and we decided to do a quick southern program, there was a piece in one of the papers about an advertisement in Australia for sanitary towels, sanitary protection pads. And it says, I'll read it. This was in a big broadsheet. In Australia, a splendid effort shows a glamorous lady who is having a period, quarrelling with a bloke. A shot rings out. The police are alerted, and she has 30 seconds to dispose of the evidence. The body is bagged, but just as the police arrive on the porch, well, she notices that, she needs to tidy up. And so she uses one of these products for it. And that's how they deal with it in Australia. And the closest we can get to talking about it in this country is to report an advertisement like that in a kind of a smug, smirky way. Oh, look, Jackie's called from Bedfordshire. Jackie.
Hello.
Welcome to Talk Radio. When's your next period due?
Due any minute.
There. Any problem with that?
Well, I am really, because it's the third time this month.
Oh, no, I meant any problem with me asking?
Oh, no.
Good.
No.
Good. Would you tell anybody who asked?
Yeah, I can't see why.
Oh,
No
I do love you.
No. I've got to go.
Yeah, I can hear. I can hear.
Okay.
Get the phone. Listen to that. So much stuff that men don't know. 3 in a month? I didn't know that. Can you get 3 in a month? Obviously can, Jackie. It's about to have another one. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Do you know that with all we know about the state of the universe, and I've just discovered that scientists believe, astronomers believe, they have sighted gamma rays which they believe may indicate where the universe began. Okay, so we know that, but we don't know whether, for example, knowing that women can synchronize their periods if they live and work together for a period of time, we don't know whether the entire nation's women have begun to synchronize their periods. We just don't know because nobody's asked this question of a nationwide audience. So when's your next period due? Free call 0500 10 53 89. I'll tell you why I ask. Most of the women folk who I'm on the right terms with so that I can ask this question have told me that it's due in the next sort of 3 to 5 to 7 days. In other words, they have synchronized with the cycles of the full moon, and apparently a lot of people do. So it's worth knowing, isn't it? Surely, that perhaps 3/4 of the nation may be due a period at the moment. It's worth knowing. Free call 0500 10 53 89. When's your next period due? I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening. Joanna calls from Birmingham. You're on Talk Radio. Joanna, when's your next period due?
It's due next week, Tommy.
It is?
Yep.
Thank you for answering the question. Any problems with being asked that?
None whatsoever.
No.
There's no point, is there? Really?
I don't think so, but I wonder whether women are somehow given the impression that it's something that they shouldn't talk about or tell other people about.
No. My husband knows before I do when it's due.
How does he know?
He says I turn into a bitch. Sorry for the wording.
No, right.
But that's exactly how he describes it.
Do you know exactly when it's due next week?
No. It'll just show up and my husband will say to me the day before, you're due tomorrow. But he knows a good 10 days before it's due.
Right.
That it's due because my personality changes drastically.
Do you think it does?
Yeah, because I fight this monster inside me and I think I've got it under control. And I obviously haven't because my husband and my children pick it up and they just steer clear for about 10 days before.
Have you heard this story that it's I don't know whether it's an urban myth or whether it's been proven, but people talk about women, if they work together or spend a lot of time together, their periods synchronize. Have you heard that one?
Yes, I do. I work with a bunch of district nurses.
Yeah.
And we are all synchronised. We're all due together.
But you see,
we all come within a couple of days.
If you follow that to its logical conclusion, then the whole of the nation's women might have synchronised.
It's a possibility,
but
yeah.
Because nobody talks about it, we don't know.
We don't.
We don't know. And
we do in the office because we're all the same. We all get these funny terms.
Yes.
Sounds really funny.
You haven't synchronised with the full moon yet?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Have a look. Check it in the sky because we have in our house.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And does your wife change? Does her personality change?
Well, the stage we've got to in discussing that is that I am of the opinion that yes, inevitably when one's hormones are differently balanced. See how PC I'm being on this one?
Yes.
How could she not be affected? If my hormones were differently balanced in the same proportion that hers are during a period prior to menstruation, then I'd probably be a little bit different. That's all I'm going to say. And she says that the jury are out on that one.
No, I'd say you was probably right.
Thanks for your call. Oh, let's go to Ray, who calls from Devon. Ray, you're on Talk Radio. When's your next period due?
Do you have to degrade women? Some things are private, aren't they? Awful publicity gimmicks.
Says who?
Says you.
Says who some things are private?
It is, isn't it?
Says who?
Pardon?
Says who?
Women said who?
I said says who?
You just pluck out a subject. Well, if I was asked you when you had your last wank, would you tell everybody? No, of course you wouldn't.
Well, just hang on a second.
Did you tell everybody?
Well, it's gone out, so it's it now. There it is. I don't think it's quite the same thing, Ray, is it?
No, it's personal, isn't it?
Would you like me to do an hour on? Would you like me to do an hour on that? Would you ring if I did an hour on that?
I might be old-fashioned, but you should respect your partner.
Can we just stop for a second and let's do this rationally, shall we? In the first place, there's no relationship between this
You're asking
condition.
personal questions.
No, shut up and listen and learn something. You're exactly the problem, you are.
No, I'm not the problem. You're the problem.
You're the problem. Men like you shame women.
You lost for points.
You shame women into believing that something that happens to them is something that they should be ashamed of and that we should never discuss.
I'm not ashamed of it. I could discuss it with my missus and everything else, but it's a home personal.
Says who? Says who?
I said it, and you just using women because you lost for a point.
Your problem, Ray, is that you don't know enough about menstruation.
Well, how old are you?
45. What's that got to do with a slice of tomatoes?
60, and I don't know that there are some things which you don't discuss only between your doctor
ignorance.
And everything else.
This is ignorance.
Come on,
you're ignorant.
Let's have a challenge.
You're an ignorant man.
Let's have a challenge here.
Sure.
Bring out all the medical things.
Medical things?
Medical conditions.
You're getting a bit technical here, mate.
Yes, all medical conditions.
Are you a doctor?
Okay.
I'll tell you what, would you like to go?
Will you do me your bottom, wanking and everything else?
Tell you what, Testosterone Ray, why don't you take on a few women on this one? Sandra would like a word with you because she's so honoured that you've risen to her protection. Sandra.
Well, to answer your question, Tommy, Saturday.
Yeah, they are, Ray, Saturday.
Okay.
Do you want to speak to Ray?
About it at all.
Do you want to speak to Ray?
If I can keep my calm,
yeah. A question?
Yeah, go on, Sandra. You're talking to Ray.
Sure. Listen. First of all, you were asking Tommy when he'd last masturbated. That's a sexual function, and I totally agree that's private.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Just hang on a minute. A period.
Ray, be quiet and listen.
Okay,
thank you.
A period is a bodily function. All women are made to have periods. What on earth is private about that? It's just like going for a wee, coughing, eating. Everybody does it. Why on earth should it be private?
I'm not saying it's private, but over the if you use a swear word over the year, you get switched off, don't you?
Well, you used a word earlier on that I found offensive, but you weren't.
Same here. Thank you, Sandra.
I'm surprised that he hasn't talked about anything like that. He just picks out and degrades
it. It's two totally different subjects. The two are not connected.
Why is men different?
Yeah, but what you were talking about earlier is something you choose. Oh.
You can't talk because you will not stick up for men, will you?
Ray, if you'd just like to hang on a second, Sandra, stay with us. Going to bring some of the other women who are on the line in because I'm sure some of them will feel honoured that Ray is sticking up for them. Let's bring Joyce Joyce into the conversation. Joyce, did you want to congratulate Ray for his stand on your behalf?
Well, it's a bit of a dinosaur, really, isn't it?
A dinosaur?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's one of those. Let's see, whether Liz, at least, might say thank you to Ray. Liz, you're on Talk Radio. Did you want to have a word with Ray?
Well, mine's due at the end of April.
Oh, right, thank you.
Yes, but you're missing the point. Bring up all other subjects, will you?
I think Ray's a bit jealous, really. He feels like he's missing out.
I'm not missing out. What of?
Well,
he will not talk about all other medical conditions, will he?
Maybe he will.
No, he won't. He knows he won't. Come on, admit it.
Tommy, can I ask Ray something?
Yes, of course, yes.
It's Sandra. Ray, when did you last go for a wee?
That is childish talk, isn't it?
No,
we all
it's a
go
bodily
for a wee,
function,
don't we?
no different to having a period. Could you tell us?
The point I'm making is that he will not come out with every medical condition going, will he?
I think you're completely on the wrong track.
No,
period
he won't
is a
answer
medical
it, will he?
condition.
Well, I don't understand it, Ray. Joyce, is Ray part of the problem or part of the solution?
No, it's part of the problem, really.
Liz, is Ray and men like him part of the problem or part of the solution?
Problem, definitely.
And Sandra?
Definitely.
He's got a big problem himself.
He has got a big problem. But now what's interesting is Ray isn't alone, as a man, in being concerned that we should actually get something out in the open, talk about it, learn something, share experiences, grow. Angela calls from Birmingham. Angela, I understand you've got a bee in your bonnet.
Listen, Tommy, you've confirmed all my doubts about you. You are a sick individual. Is this all Talk Radio's got to do is give you time on the air for matters? If I was a young girl, I'm 66 and you make me blush now. And if I was a young girl, Tommy, I'd slap your face and hard.
There you are. You see, she's, dare I say, she's certainly violent.
Another dinosaur.
I know. Part of the problem?
Yes.
Okay, well, ladies, Sandra, Joyce and Liz, I wanted to ask, first of all, you've been kind enough to answer a question. I wasn't sure whether I should ask it, but I feel as though people who are prepared to call the programme are people that we can kind of call friends. Okay? Is it a question that you would accept being asked of you, though, by, say, for example, a colleague that you were working with quite a lot?
No.
Yes.
No and yes. Who said yes?
Liz.
Liz. Who said no?
Joyce.
Joyce. Okay, you explain why not, Joyce.
I wouldn't feel put out by that kind of a question.
You wouldn't feel put out?
No.
You would, Liz?
Oh, no, I wouldn't.
Oh, you wouldn't? But, okay.
Yes, I would be asked by it and I wouldn't be offended.
Okay. Any of the three of you, have any of you ever been asked it by somebody other than perhaps a partner?
Yeah, I've been asked by workmates, work associates.
Sorry, I beg your pardon, but who's this talking?
Joyce.
Joyce. Okay, Joyce. What happened?
Well, just women in general chatting. You look a bit off today. Oh, is it that time of the month again? Yeah. Oh, are you due at the Are you due today, tomorrow? No, at the weekend. But I always feel a bit down a couple of days before. But I've never been offended by the question.
No. Do you think it's possible that there's something in the story that women's periods can synchronise?
I don't think so.
No?
No, I mean, I'm in a household with 2 daughters. And we never have done. We've always been within a few days or a week of each other.
Right.
We do tend to get closer at certain times, but no, never synchronise.
Okay, listen, thank you very much indeed, the three of you.
Okay.
Oh, Liz, before you go.
Yes.
Did you say yours is due at the end of April?
Yeah, I'm pregnant.
You're
so
pregnant, thought so.
I've had 9 months of freedom.
Yeah, good luck.
Thank you.
But wait a minute, you won't have a period at the end of April, will you?
Well,
when's the baby due?
End of April.
No, how old are you?
Well, it'll be May, won't it, I suppose?
May?
26.
Are you there, Tommy?
Yes?
It's Sandra here.
Yes.
Don't offend Ray because you're getting onto even more difficult subjects now.
Oh, childbirth?
Childbirth.
That's disgusting.
You're really going to upset him now.
Disgusting. Yeah, I know. Liz, I don't think you're due a period until about September.
Well, if we have another one straight away, we'll be having another one for another.
No, well, maybe I'm ignorant. I'm only a dad on this one, but I thought that after childbirth, women tended not to go straight back into their menstrual cycle.
I don't know.
Joyce, have you had children?
Yeah, I have 3.
How soon did your period start after each birth?
You can count 10 weeks. For 6 weeks, you can't really count it because it's just like a natural loss of blood anyway. But you should quickly get back into a cycle, and by the end of a complete month, you will take on another period.
Thanks for your contribution, ladies.
Thank you.
Nice to talk to you, ladies, girls, whatever. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Simple question. When's your next period due? I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening. Ian's in Dorset. Ian, you're on Talk Radio. Ian, when's your next period due?
Oh, long time, mate. Yeah, it's a good subject you brought up. And the fact that women go through all this, woman pause sort of thing, and each month, and some men don't understand how much pain they go through with all that change of blood and all that. And bringing up this subject, I brought up when my kids are 11 and 12, and they've seen their first mother having their period, and say why was blood around, and we explained to them, it's a fact of life when they're brought. But the thing is, I can understand why women have got so much pain, right? Because my wife keeps telling me I got pain, so I do most of the housework when she got a period. And when it comes to understanding that women, I would say, they're different from us, right? I can suss out when my wife got a period, right? I can say, oh, that's sweet. And she said, how can you tell that? It's your attitude, it's changing, right? I didn't say it's taste and all that in the air. But it's a good subject you brought up.
Thank you, Ian. Can I ask you this whilst you're here? Do you believe that your physical cycle has synchronised with your wife's?
Yes.
You have?
Because, firstly, I know when she's got a period, I will not come close to her because it's something to me. It's when I've got virtually a day before she has a period, she's changing. And I just keep out the way. Okay, all right. You think that can I put it like this? You think that perhaps your wife is a little bit more likely to snap at you? Yes.
That's what you're saying, isn't it?
Very,
is that fair?
very much.
Okay. But do you think that you are more likely to snap back because you are having a ghosted
I do.
PMT experience?
I will snap back, but I just get a clue. It comes into my head, she's got a period, and I just back away.
Right.
And I tell you what, when she does start, she throws things.
Ian, thanks for your call. It's an important subject. You know why it's an important subject. We all know why it's an important subject, because we all suspect that it could be responsible for more partnerships and marriages floundering on the rocks than any other single factor. But we're not allowed to talk about it. We can't talk about it because there are some people who believe that it would suggest that women were more responsible for partnerships breaking up than men. And that really is not the agenda at all. The agenda is just finding out what's what. We can make up our minds about anything once we know enough information to make our minds up. So we're really just trawling for experiences and information. And Marie calls from Wiltshire. You're on Talk Radio, Marie.
Hello, Tommy.
When's your next period due?
I'm still waiting for mine. I've got a 9-month-old son, and you were talking to the lady earlier about when her period is going to start after she had a baby.
Mm-hmm.
You can wait for a long time if you're breastfeeding, for one.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm still breastfeeding mine. I haven't had a period since I had my little boy.
Right. I misunderstood the information I was given about this call. I assumed when it said on my screen that Marie in Wilts is still waiting. I thought they meant that you were still waiting to go on air.
No, I'm still waiting for my period.
Still waiting for your period?
I am.
Yes, yes. Is it a question you've ever been asked by anybody other than immediate family? When's your next period due?
I don't think so. Maybe when I was at work. But, I mean, I worked with women anyway, so it was discussed.
So women at work might ask other women if they're about have a period.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I think so.
But men don't even discuss it of women colleagues.
I don't think it's discussed enough. I think the chap who called earlier, Ray,
yes,
that, he's the sort of person who wants to keep it all hush-hush. It's like it's a taboo. You just don't talk about it.
The sympathy I will have with Ray is this, in 100 years' time, things will be discussed that I wouldn't want discussed at the moment.
Quite, yes.
So if somebody tried to make me discuss those things now, I would have reservations.
Yeah.
Actually, to be honest, Maria, I can't quite think what they are, but I'm sure they'll emerge in 100 years' time, okay?
Yes.
So I know his problem, but it is a problem, isn't it?
But it is a problem, because if people don't talk about them, they just don't move on.
This is where you're right. It makes problems.
It's like going to the doctor with various problems. If you don't talk about it, people aren't aware, and they don't go, and it just stays hidden.
He's got a problem with it, but that problem makes problems for other people.
Exactly.
Who are trying to eradicate the problem.
Definitely.
Nice talking to you. How old's the little one again?
He's 9 months.
9 months.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to hear your good news then.
Okay.
Still waiting for a period.
Yeah.
Free call 0500 10 53 89. Craig calls from London. You're on Talk Radio, Craig.
Hello.
You want to tell a joke?
I've got a little joke for you.
Well, all right then.
Why does it take 2 women to change a light bulb when they're on their period?
I don't know.
Because it just does.
Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Craig. Never heard it told better. There's boil an egg. Free call 0500 10 53 89. To Marie, who calls from Dorset. You're on Talk Radio, Marie. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tommy.
Hello.
How are you?
When's your next period due?
When's mine? About a week's time.
Another one is in about a week's time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
my friend is as well.
So you synchronised with the full moon?
Well, I synchronise with my friend, yeah, definitely. I don't look at the moon that much, Tommy, so I wouldn't really know.
Check it out. Since we started noticing it, we realised that both in my house and in lots of other houses, women are, and their cycles, and possibly men too. It's just that men don't have such an obvious way of locating the peaks and troughs of their cycle, but lots of men synchronise with the full moon.
Yeah, well, my husband has symptoms when I'm having my period, that's for sure.
Go on.
Well, for example, a few days before I actually come on, he starts getting grouchy and sort of mopey and that kind of thing and snappy and turns around and blames it all on me, which is basically what women do to their men when they're having a period, but it can't be helped,
Marie, I want to know whether men's moods do change if their partner is about to have a period.
Well, I think definitely.
Begin a period? Yes, but why?
Why? That's a very good question, Tommy.
How about this? Well, how about this? We know, don't we, that, we're part animal as well as human.
Yeah.
And we know that the importance of reproduction and procreating the species is practically paramount, isn't it?
Certainly.
In the animal kingdom, anyway.
Yeah.
No animals can conceive whilst what was a fertile egg is being disposed of.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yep.
So it could be that nature's saving everybody's energy.
Possibly, yeah. It's a good way of looking at it.
By putting us off our partners during the period when they couldn't conceive.
That sounds logical, doesn't it?
I can't do any better than that.
No, I think that sounds pretty fair to me, yeah.
It's a thought, isn't it? But if women are put off their men partners when they're having a period, why couldn't men be put off their women partners when they're about due a period?
Well, I don't actually say that all women are, because actually I get quite horny when I'm having a period, Tommy, so that doesn't work for me.
And again, I've heard that. So, of course, the water's as muddy as you'd expect.
Yeah.
But thanks for your contribution. It's nice talking to you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Cheerio. Colette's in Manchester. You're on Talk Radio. Colette, good afternoon.
Hello, Tommy.
When's your next period, dear?
About June or July.
Oh, right.
I'm pregnant.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'm glad you made the point. It's a natural thing that your body does. It is for the reproduction. It is for conception. It's why is it so disgusting to some people?
Older people, it is, Colette. It has to be said, older people.
I think it's all, yeah, you're probably right there.
It's a generational thing. Yes, it is. Think what they must have gone through as children, those now elderly women. If they can't bring themselves to talk about it now, imagine what kind of help and guidance they were given when it started happening to them.
Yeah, I mean, I've got 2 sons, and I'm quite open with them. So when they're older, they won't be embarrassed. And it's funny, we were at a friend's house on Saturday night, and I hope they don't mind me mentioning it. An advert came on the TV, and he got all embarrassed. And his wife said, he doesn't like things like that. So, but I said, but it's natural. If it wasn't for periods, he wouldn't be here.
You know, it's for dads to tell their sons about their reproductive behaviour, I think. I think it's for dads to tell their sons.
Yeah, I think there's certain subjects, definitely.
It's preferable if the dad can do it. That's what I say. I don't know. Have an argument about that. Do you think it's preferable for mums to tell their daughters about their menstrual cycle?
I can't see why mothers can't tell their sons and daughters.
Well, that's what I was moving on to. I mean, I think it goes without saying that mums are best to tell their daughters about the reproductive cycle and the menstrual cycle. But should mums tell their son? I mean, should my wife tell my 2 boys what happens to women?
Well, I think if they ask her, it depends on if they're comfortable talking to her or talking to you.
Well, if they pick up the national nuance, which is that you never talk about it, they'll never ask her.
Well, this is it. I think people should be a little bit more open. I mean, it just depends on the individual, doesn't it? But I'm open with my sons anyway. I just wait for them to ask questions. I don't, But hopefully things will change. But I just don't like it when people say it's disgusting subject. Because it isn't. It's natural.
No, that was terrible. But it was important to hear what everybody has to say on the subject. That's what we're here for. Thanks for your call.
Okay, thank you.
Free call 0500 10 53 89. When's your next period due? Ian calls from London. You're on Talk Radio, Ian.
Hi, Tommy.
Hello, Ian.
Hello. I'd like to support you on this because I think all fathers now should even talk to their daughters about it. I mean, I've got a little 12-year-old daughter, and she's just started, and she come straight up to me and told me, and I felt very honoured for her to tell me, not my wife.
Well, good way of looking at it.
And I mean, I was so proud of you, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
yes, well, I've got you. I'm glad it doesn't happen to us. Aren't you?
Well, yes.
We
wouldn't know what to do, really, would we?
Well, we have to extend a certain consideration to women for this aspect of life, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
Because, we can go rollerblading anytime we like. If you've seen
that's right, yeah.
All those TV commercials,
Yeah.
It's always Kate Moss lookalikes, isn't it? Going to the disco or running along the beach with an Afghan hound. And life isn't like that, is it, really?
No, I mean, I couldn't believe that gentleman earlier on when he was saying about it's disgusting and everything. That to me, that just blew my mind, really. That's why I actually phoned up, because I just couldn't believe there's people still that believe in it.
Well, what age are you?
I'm 34.
You see, it is a generational thing, largely, isn't it?
Yeah.
Largely, it's true. Now, I know I'll get calls from people complaining that we're generalising, but, certain conclusions can be drawn, and it seems to me that younger people are just more comfortable dealing with this particular issue than the older generation. Your generation, Ian, will probably be shocked by something that people are talking about in 30 years' time.
Most probably.
Most probably. Yeah.
Let's just hope that I can understand it in 30 years' time.
Let's just hope, yes, and you can remember what it was the next day.
That's right. I'm a great believer in remembering what I actually did as a youngster and trying to understand what they're doing as a youngster.
Now, you couldn't have put it better. That's all there is to it. Remembering what happened to you and trying to make it a little bit better for your children.
Trying to understand it, that's the main thing, Tommy. I mean, I'm not the best, I'm not the tolerant person like a lot of people. I have got a bit of a temper. I try to control it, especially when the children are around. I'd rather walk away, go upstairs and read a book. But sometimes things do get you and you do, but my children are very good like that. They know that if I shouted at all, they come back to me and they say, "You all right now, Dad?" And I'm all right. I mean, they sort of diffuse the situation straight away by saying that.
Good stuff. Mary calls from Falkirk. You're on Talk Radio, Mary. Hello.
Hello, Tommy. It's just to let you know that my mother is one of the older generation, or was one of the older generations. And when I started to menstruate when I was 12, I'm 53 now. When I started to menstruate when I was 12, I was told, stay away from boys.
Why?
That was all I was told. I wasn't told what it was. I thought I was going to die.
Well, it is.
And I was told, stay away from boys.
I read about things like this happening to women. I find it astonishing. Why? Why didn't somebody tell you what was happening? Did your mum not know?
I was an only daughter. I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, but your mum knew.
And it was embarrassing. My mother just couldn't talk about anything like that.
But why?
It didn't in those days. It just...
You don't have to do what everybody else is doing. You have to see your own daughter and your love for her and your concern for her confusion.
I was
surely
so
supersedes
scared.
any, colloquial behaviour.
And of course, by the time I was 15, I can remember, you know how boys are at school. One of them said to me, "Are you a virgin?" And I went, "Indeed I am not." Because I didn't know what that was. I didn't know anything about anything.
So you're all for it being discussed?
Pardon?
You're all for things being out in the open?
Definitely.
I couldn't agree with you
Oh,
more.
yes, my family were too. In fact, we have had dogs all our life, and they learned through the dogs.
It's not quite good enough, but nevertheless, you're 53 now.
I'm
Have your
53
periods
now.
have your periods stopped yet?
Yes, I had a hysterectomy many years ago,
You
but
did.
it was frightening at the time, I can tell you.
Is it nice to have them behind you?
Oh, definitely.
Thanks for your call. Free call 0500 10 53 89. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening. Time for 10 seconds. Gavin calls from Cheshire. Gavin, you're on Talk Radio. Good afternoon.
Hi, Tommy. I'm grateful for you to air this subject, really. As a man who suffers from premenstrual symptoms.
You do?
I do indeed.
What happens?
Terrible ringing in the ears, bruises start to appear on the back of the head.
Come on.
And this awful dragon moves in and the wife disappears for about 6 days.
Oh, this is such sales rep saloon car type conversation. Honestly, Gavin, we've moved on from that idea.
Oh, well.
You see, you don't know, Gavin. You don't know whether you don't actually genuinely suffer from PMT. You don't know whether you do.
Maybe we do. Maybe we do.
Ha 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 ha.
I mean,
ha 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 ha. Do you believe in biorhythms?
Yes, but not on a perhaps 28-day cycle, perhaps more on an annual cycle.
I don't know what you're talking about. There are no biorhythms that are done on an annual cycle.
Well, in which case we don't believe in a 28-day cycle biorhythm.
Well, everybody does. That's the only one that exists.
Well, in which case I'll have to say I don't believe.
Well, that's only because it's convenient from the position that you hope you have, which is that you're not subject to an animal cycle.
Can an animal cycle not run on a period of longer than 28 days?
Do you know anything about biorhythms?
There was a little bit of study about 10 years ago.
Yes,
But
okay.
only in an amateur way.
Right, so the emotional cycle is over what period?
Well, they're all supposed to be over 28 days, aren't they?
No, they're not. You see, you don't actually... Well, you didn't do very much study then, did you?
Well, not a great deal.
No, clearly.
Obviously not as educated as yourself, Thomas.
Believers in biorhythms, and got to be said, it's mostly people, it's closer to Eastern medicine than it is to Western belief. I think that we have 3 separate cycles: physical, intellectual and emotional cycles. One is a 23-day cycle, the other is a 28-day cycle, and our intellectual cycle is a 32-day cycle. And this affects men and women and animals.
Which can be proved how? How do you know your animal is particularly intellectual within every so many days?
Well, you're rather keen on finding out that something that you don't know is wrong, aren't you?
Well, possibly.
Yes, I can tell you are.
Yeah. To believe than others.
Well, it would be awful, wouldn't you, for you to find out that you were in some way vulnerable. But of course you're not. You're in charge of everything, aren't you? Because you're a man.
No, I wouldn't go so far as to say that.
Well, then let's go further down that road, shall we? Supposing you're subject to a 28-day cycle too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Supposing your moods change during your 28-day cycle too.
Very possibly.
Very possibly. Very possibly isn't good enough. You've got to find out.
And how do we go about this? So
you ask your partner. Have you ever asked your partner? Have you ever asked your partner if your moods change over a 28-day cycle?
Oh, but I'm sure that they do.
Well, that's not answering the question. Have you ever asked her?
No.
Aha. Hoist by your own petard. Speared on your own kebab. So you rang up the radio station, didn't you, with this glib joke? You suffer from PMT symptoms.
Well,
bruises on the back of your head. You have got PMT, man.
Absolutely.
Right. So clear off then.
Oh, cheerio.
I don't like glib jokes about menstruation. I don't. They don't help. And they're not funny. I don't mind them if they're funny. But if they're not funny, not interested. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Erin calls from London. You're on Talk Radio, Erin. Good afternoon.
Hi, Tommy.
Erin.
I don't know that men suffer from PMT as such, but I have a feeling they probably suffer from something parallel to it. I know my partner believes that when I come up to my period, he does change. He changes firstly mentally because he's in a way preparing for my change, and then physically he'll withdraw from me. And we were talking about this, funny enough, at the weekend, which is why it's so good to hear you on the show today. And it has only been recently where I suppose, have admitted what a destructive force within our relationship the PMT can be. And the monthly cycle of his loving, caring partner turning into somebody he doesn't like very much. And I think that it's not necessarily for me PMT for men, but it's something that runs parallel to it. What do you think?
And don't we want some of those men and women in white coats, who investigate things like this?
I would like to see
to find out a bit more about it.
It was your point about how much does this affect our relationships and how many relationships flounder because of it that really prompted me to ring, because I believe it's a deeper problem than we imagine.
I reckon.
And Mary, who rang earlier, she was saying about the old school. I'm only 30, yet when I had my period when I was 10, and I had a row with my mum, and I went to the loo and was praying to God to do something rather horrible to me, and suddenly there it was, blood in the loo, and of course I knew nothing.
Oh.
And when I ran to my mum, she was very gentle, but she did also say, "Don't tell your brothers, don't tell your father."
That's silly, isn't it?
Yeah.
We know that now. That's silly. But then,
But my relationship with
we
my
know
daughter
now
is
what
very
we know
different.
now, and
Yeah,
hopefully things will be even better for your children.
that's right. Well, my daughter, her first encounter with a period was when she said to me, "Mummy, what's that string between your legs?"
Can I ask you something I've never asked anybody?
Yes, of course you can.
Not even my own wife, actually. I don't know why. Because we never talk about it, I suppose. We've got something better to talk about, what's on television, what are we having for tea, all of that.
Normal stuff.
When they start, do they start very, very small and get bigger?
Yeah.
Or do they start,
Well, mine started very small and then get bigger.
No, I mean, when you were 10, was your first period a bit,
Oh, when I was 10,
Full
10,
size?
Full size.
Was it?
Yes, it was. It was pure red, just poured out into the basin of, and of course I thought,
did not know that. I did not know that.
Yeah, I mean, it may not be the same for every woman.
Ash, did you know that? Did you know that, or did you...
I knew that it starts, because...
at 10, but did you know that they start with a full period?
No.
I didn't.
I thought it dripped, and then it was like a big flowing.
Yeah.
No. Oh, well, that the period starts like that. The period starts where it's slow, but no, when I came on at 10, it was whoosh
See,
into the bowl.
bet you that 99% of men listening to this didn't know that. We assumed that it started gradually. And you didn't have a full period, if you like, until you were, I don't know, in your mid-teens.
No, I had a full period from 10.
Perhaps, does everybody?
I don't know. I mean,
you don't know either.
No, I don't. I think it's quite a long range. I think between 10 and 18 is all within the normal range.
Isn't it medieval of us that we all know so little about something which is so fundamental and normal and healthy?
But I think there's ranges of it, Tommy, isn't there? Every woman's body functions differently, so there can't be an average really.
Well, we should know that.
We
should know that then, if that's the case.
Well, I think we do now. I think most people know that, don't they?
No.
Surely? No.
No. You don't know whether all women's periods start as full periods.
No, you're right.
No,
I don't.
you see. So I think we've got ourselves a real mountain of
I'll have
ignorance.
to ask my girlfriend that.
Yeah, let's do it.
That's the beginnings.
Thanks for your call.
Okay, Tommy.
Nice to talk to you.
Bye-bye.
The number's free. Call 0500 10 53 89. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening. 1952. Nick calls from Berkshire. You're on Talk Radio. Nick, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tommy.
Hello, Nick.
Thanks very much for an informative topic you've raised today.
Absolutely.
Being a man, obviously, we haven't a clue what's going on. But the biggest thing that stands out in my mind is, you buy sanitary towels, etc., for your partner. Think, why are they paying for these? What's going on, Tommy? Where, we want equality, where every month people are paying out a fortune in these products, etc.
Mind you, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think we men tend to say this out loud in the hope that we score brownie points.
No women in this building, Tommy.
No, but you're saying it on the radio and you know what I'm doing.
I work with
We are caring men. We worry about the cost of this.
Well, I am actually a care worker too.
Well, yeah.
But working with a group of women, this sort of topic comes up regularly. We can talk openly and frankly because we're dealing in all sorts of bodily fluids anyway, as it were. And, it just seems that people are so sort of ignorant about it all. It needs to be sort of brought out, discussed.
Well, we need the marketing men to get hold of the whole thing because I think that sanitary aids is just such a subclinical almost term, isn't it, for these necessities.
Well,
we could just give them a lift, couldn't we, by calling... I mean, but the word sanitary, it has to do with sanitation, it has to do with drains, for goodness sake.
Sanitised, clean, I don't know.
You look at the word itself, it carries with it such a lot of testosterone.
I certainly have.
And they're glad you have.
Yeah, I mean, the adverts.
This is not a sister thing.
The adverts that they put out, they're not honest and whatever. I mean, all they seem to be advertising...
Oh, what, like all the other adverts are honest?
Well, all the products they seem to be advertising are for royalty. I mean, they never use the right colour.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, Tommy?
I do. I'm grateful for your call.
Take care.
Nice to talk to you. Bye-bye. Richard calls from Essex, and we'll talk to him after Merrick in London. Merrick, you're on Talk Radio. Good afternoon.
Hello, Tommy.
Hello, Merrick.
Hello. I'd just like to say that I'm a 30-year-old male living in London, obviously, and I actually talk to women quite a lot about this subject, actually sort of research it, and I found that it doesn't sort of matter what age women are, that you'll find that a lot of women don't actually want to talk about this subject, and it is still quite taboo, even though you sort of try and bring it out into the open. And that's just a reaction that I found from a lot of women.
I'm sure of it. We can move this thing forward slowly but surely, can't we? Maureen calls from Bedfordshire. You're on Talk Radio. Maureen, good afternoon.
Hello. I also think men should learn a lot more about it because my husband's 49 and he still can't identify it every time.
No.
And they just think you're being horrible instead of understanding why you like it.
So you want us to talk about it more in broadcasting?
Yes, I do. And, not the man that was on at first, but, well...
How can we do that? I mean, supposing we're doing a discussion about Iraq or the peace process in Northern Ireland or the economy in this country, should we, as well as welcoming people to the show, before we talk to them, ask them if when their next period is due.
Well, no, it's not appropriate in the middle of all that, is it, really?
But it would help normalise the whole process.
I suppose so.
I'm not going to do it, but I mean, I'm just asking the question. Because it's not something you can... This is the problem socially around the kitchen table. It's not something you can just gently ease into conversation and then ease out of it, can you?
I have a 21-year-old daughter that thinks it's, you just don't talk about it, you know.
Does she think that?
Mm.
Oh, gosh. Mary in Berkshire, you're on Talk Radio. Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Mary.
What a good subject.
Thank you.
The first man you had on that said it was disgusting
Yes.
had no intelligence.
No.
I worked with a man.
Stupid.
I had a male supervisor.
Yeah.
And I didn't have cycles. I used to have floods.
Oh, dear.
So a male colleague of mine said to me one afternoon, Mary, have you looked at the back of your skirt? And I had flooded.
Really?
Of course, I had to leave the building. And my friend went up and said to my supervisor, Mary's had to go home, women's problems.
Mm.
He actually thought I'd wet myself. The next day, I wasn't at work. I wasn't well enough. He went down to my colleague and he said, what was wrong with Mary yesterday?
Mm.
He said, she had a flooding. Women's problems. She understood that he hadn't popped on.
Sure. Mary, got to press on. Thank you for your call. And also, something horrible. A horrible thought has just overtaken me, and I don't know if I can share it with you. I could probably share it with Richard in Essex, because he's probably... Hello, Richard.
Hi, Tommy.
Welcome to Talk Radio.
Quickly to say that
Yes.
I quite often buy my wife's products for her, and I'm not embarrassed at all about it.
Yes.
It's just people with narrow minds that make it a taboo subject for women.
It's a taboo subject, isn't it?
Yeah.
And yet, what I'm going to say, Richard, is this... no, I can't say it. Thank you for your call. I can't bring myself to share this thought with you. It has to do with the cookery programme that was on Channel 4 about a week ago with Hugh Fernley Whittingham. Donna in Hertfordshire, you get the last word on this one. Good afternoon.
Sorry.
Hello.
I'm saying about that man Ray.
Man Ray.
Yep. He said that it was a medical condition having periods.
He did.
It is not a medical condition. It is nature.
Of course it is.
So why is he saying it is a medical condition?
The people that age just don't know anything.
Well, I was on my way home from shopping and I thought, my God.
Ah.
And I've been trying to get through to you, so...
And you've done it.
I've done it. I've finally done it.
And I'm grateful for your
I've
call.
put my tennis worth in.
You have indeed, yes, and I'm grateful. Thank you, Donna, for that.
Thank you so much.
Free call 0500 10 53 89 will solve the biggest crisis facing planet Earth, we think, at this moment in time. In the next hour of the programme, I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio.
This is definitely not Bob putting a funny voice on. Click like and subscribe to the Tommy Boyd Shrine YouTube channel, and we may get more Bob Staunton. Now, if you'll excuse me, I am going to stick laxatives in Tommy Boyd's coffee. If he won't call it quits, I'll make him strain with the squits.